Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star original continent based on novel. So let's start. Struck by a thought, Luo Feng speedily deduced and came to an understanding. Out of 33 sector beasts, one higher stage sector beast could be born. Based on this ratio, out of 1 billion first stage sector beasts, slightly more than 30 million second stage sector beasts could be born, 1 million third stage sector beasts could be born, more than 30,000 fourth stage sector beasts could be born, 1,000 fifth stage sector beasts could be born, and slightly more than 36 stage sector beasts could be born. For now, the strongest ones within the sector beasts nest are fourth stage sector beasts, and the majority of them are second stage. Luo Feng made a mental calculation. Indeed, it is still the early stage of the evolution of the sector beasts. In normal evolution, it was necessary to wait until this reincarnation era was about to come to an end before the last king could be born. Yet the threat posed by Luo Feng accelerated this evolution. Morosa. Luo Feng looked at the sector beast before him. What are the powers of sector beasts like? Between the first stage and the sixth stage, what are the differences? Morosa replied deferentially, for every breakthrough to the next stage achieved during evolution, a sector beast will get stronger than it was at the preceding stage. When it was just born, that is, at the initial stage after birth, it will only possess some basic means like splitting bodies to escape, or swallowing origins of miniature universes. These are the most basic means that all sector beasts are capable of. Luo Feng felt a sudden burst of pressure. The moment a sector beast crossed over to second stage, its power naturally becomes stronger, and it will gain an additional supernatural prowess, Morosa explained. That is the ability to use the blood-burning technique. Blood-burning technique. Luo Feng responded. That was the technique that you used previously, the move of shooting blood light with your eyes. He could still remember the first time he'd had to fight Morosa. He had used the universe chain to bind him. Yet, with both eyes shooting those bloody lights, Morosa had managed to break through the chains and had escaped. At that time, its power had been different by 2 levels. Morosa replied deferentially, "That's right, my master. By burning up the blood within the body and transforming it to bloody light, my power will skyrocket. This is a commonly used combat method. Previously, when I crossed paths with Master's teacher, Primal Chaos City Leader, and his company, I was merely a sector beast at the level of second stage pinnacle. Therefore, confronting them was extremely toilsome for me, and I had to execute the blood-burning technique several times." Luo Feng nodded. The blood-burning technique merely consumes the blood. It is not harmful to its origin, Morosa said. If a sector beast moves up to the third stage, it will acquire a method that was truly meant for escaping, sector light passageway. This method seems harmless when not executed, yet the moment it is executed, the sector beast will be able to escape for sure almost all the time. But this method is, on the contrary, harmful to its origin. This was the passageway that was filled with colored lights, recalled Luo Feng. The one that previously allowed you to escape via the method of instant transportation. Morosa nodded. Yes, those colored lights are actually sector lights. The energy released when I blazed the sector within my body. This is an energy of time and space, and it could instantly construct a passageway of time and space where I can transport myself away. However, burning up the sector is the origin of every sector beast. That previous time, I had initially thought that declassing myself from a third stage to second stage sector beast would suffice for me to escape. It had never crossed my mind that Master also has a method that allows you to exert your influence within time and space. Therefore, I was forced all the way back to be a first stage sector beast just so I could escape. Luo Feng fell deep into thought. He had relied on single thought void space to keep this sector beast suppressed. A single thought void space had absolute control over that space. Therefore, it was naturally able to exert an influence over the sector light passageway. What about stepping up to the fourth stage? Luo Feng continued to ask. Enslaving a sector beast was advantageous to him, as he could learn every single detail about the sector beasts, and also understand all the methods they would deploy. Then, as much as he pleased, he could redeem any treasures from the world of Jinn that would be useful in subduing the sector beasts. The moment a sector beast progresses to the fourth stage, the sector inside its body gets even more powerful. Morosa sighed. Without burning up, the sector light within its body can be dispersed to the outside world, thus affecting the outside world. The region that the sector light is scattered all over is known as sector light domain. Within sector light domain, the sector beasts' control over the area is greatly increased, and their power will be exalted. Thus, humans like Master, yourself, would be bound to feel their influence. Sector light domain. Luo Feng started to worry. This seemed to be a little like a single-thought void space. If a sector beast progresses into the fifth stage, it will acquire a killer move with an implicit intention of destroying the origin, Morosa lamented. From birth, a sector beast never really possesses the true prowess to kill. The methods it knows only involve the consumption of energy, the burning of blood, and escape techniques, until, at this stage, it finally possesses a killer move. It is a technique named destruction. This is why, advancing from a fourth stage sector beast to a fifth stage sector beast, there is a great leap in power. Luo Feng's expression became solemn. How powerful? Luo Feng asked. Once destruction is executed, destroying a miniature universe should be a piece of cake, Morosa said. Luo Feng muttered to himself. To destroy the miniature universe of a true god, an outburst of pinnacle combat power of a true god of void space was required. If he had relied on any secret technique on blazing godly power, or relied on Wu Qi God, Blood Ghost Blade, or Shawu Wings, he could still attain this level. How terrifying! Luo Feng shuddered at the thought of this. This killer move only contained the partial prowess of destroying the origin, Morosa said. Only the true and last king of all sector beasts wields the complete prowess of destroying the origin. A fifth stage sector beast, when it executes this killer move, it also has to pay quite a heavy price, as this is extremely energy-consuming. It might not be willing to execute it so easily. What about the sixth stage? Luo Feng persisted in asking about every single detail. The sixth stage, Morosa said, momentarily startled. Then slowly, he said, the moment a sector beast enters the sixth stage, it will almost be as good as telling the other sector beasts that all hope is gone. This sixth stage sector beast will eliminate everything that poses a threat to it. Right away, it will kill all other fifth stage sector beasts that might be a threat to it, and it will do so as early as it can. So long as it is not a foolish sector beast, the first to enter the sixth stage will almost certainly become the king. Even though it had been enslaved, Morosa was still quite obsessed with the title of king of the sector beasts. After all, since birth, it had been fated to live with the purpose of becoming king. Luo Feng was quick to return with another question. What is special about this sixth stage sector beast? In terms of ability, it would be slightly stronger than the fifth stage sector beasts, Morosa said. Because it possesses a much greater amount of power, the technique destruction can be executed a great number of times. What is special about it? Luo Feng asked without a pause. There was something special about these sector beasts at each stage. It was no different for the sixth stage sector beasts. 10 million other bodies, Morosa responded slowly. What? Luo Feng's mind blanked out for the moment. This is also why the first sector beast, who becomes a sixth stage sector beast, is most certainly going to become the king, Morosa said. Crossing over to the sixth stage, the increase in combat power is not considered tremendous, but when equipped with the ability to execute technique of 10 million bodies, the sector beast will be able to divide its body into 10 million other bodies and scatter them all over universe ocean in its attempt to hide from enemies. Even if you meet one of the 10 million bodies, fighting with it and killing it would only mean that you have gotten rid of one of its other bodies. It would not have much of an effect on it. But of course, out of the 10 million other bodies, there will still be the original body. Morosa continued, that original body will be the one with the strongest combat power. The other bodies are generally very weak. Those other bodies are not used for the purpose of battle, but rather, more for increasing the chance of survival. So long as there is one other body that remains alive, it will be able to rapidly absorb energy to restore power. Then, once again, it can recover back to the 6th-stage pinnacle. So even if the 100-plus 5th-stage sector beasts were to combine forces and kill the original body of a 6th-stage sector beast, after a period of time, another body of the 6th-stage sector beast, which has been absorbing energy, would once again appear. Luo Feng found it all so crazy. A sector beast gained a new ability each time it went up one stage. By the time it reached the 6th stage, it would gain the ability to execute 10 million bodies. How do I kill it? Luo Feng asked. First, Morosa began by killing the soul. So long as you manage to attack and kill the soul of any of its bodies, all the other bodies will be annihilated once and for all. And of course, for the 6th-stage sector beast, its soul will be incomparably powerful. Even for you, my master, it is impossible for you to kill its soul. At least for now. Luo Feng nodded. Second, Morosa continued, kill all the 5th-stage sector beasts that pose any threat to you. Killing all the leaders within the pack will ensure that no 6th-stage sector beast can be born. Luo Feng understood. It was a precautionary measure. Third, Morosa went on, is through the influence of fate. Fate. Luo Feng was befuddled. Morosa nodded. The fate for all 1 billion sector beasts is ultimately to give birth to a king. So there are a few ironclad rules that must be adhered to. For instance, after a 6th-stage sector beast is born, if another 6th-stage sector beast emerges, the two must fight one another to the death. Even all their other bodies must be involved. The victor lives on while the defeated one shall be annihilated. This is why, for 6th-stage sector beasts, no matter what, there will only be one who truly lives at any point in time. Two 6th-stage sector beasts fighting one another to the death, this is an ironclad rule. There is also a specific time limit, in which all the living sector beasts must fight one another in life and death battle. This is the final time limit. Or, for instance, if there are only 2 sector beasts remaining, where one is at the 5th stage and one is at the 4th stage, then they must fight one another. The surviving one becomes king. Luo Feng was shocked to learn this. You are saying that a 5th-stage sector beast can also become king? Yes. Morosa nodded. Our fate dictates that out of 1 billion sector beasts, the final one standing will be king, regardless of whether it is at the 1st stage or the 6th stage. In the end, there is one survivor. So long as the others are dead, only one needs to survive. It will be speedily exalted to the position of king. Of course, under normal circumstances, the final one standing will be a 6th-stage sector beast. What Morosa said weighed heavily on Luo Feng's mind. These creatures were truly worthy of representing destruction. Even without a king, they were already so terrifying. Crossing over to the 2nd stage, there was the blood-burning technique. Crossing over to the 3rd stage, there was the sector light passageway technique. Crossing over to the 4th stage, there was the sector light domain technique. Crossing over to the 5th stage, there was the destruction technique. Crossing over to the 6th stage, there was even the 10 million bodies technique. What would it be like if one of these sector beasts actually became king? The moment a king is born, Morosa said with a heavy heart, no one shall be able to stop it. Master, even if you are 10 or 100 times stronger, you will still be unable to stop the final king. This is because the king of sector beasts does not actually need to be present to make a move. It is able to breed many powerful warriors, and any single one of these warriors is already more terrifying than a 6th-stage sector beast. Even if you manage to defeat one, it would breed another warrior that will be stronger than it was. In the end, you will be the one being annihilated. Luo Feng finally understood that the willpower of the origin held him in high regards. Given the potential and power of the sector beasts, even without evolution, 10 million of them would be able to subject the various races of Universe Ocean to tens, or even hundreds of rounds of extermination. Relying on the other great beings of Universe Ocean, there really was not a trace of hope. Even for him, there was only a single trace of hope. But the greater possibility was extermination. Master, Morosa said solemnly. I have one more matter I need to inform you about. This matter is of the utmost importance. Luo Feng was taken aback. Morosa continued gravely. From the moment I came under your command, millions of sector beasts from our sector beast nests caught wind of the news. This is because all of us sector beasts are able to detect one another, so they are all able to detect current goings-on. From that moment, all the sector beasts became extremely angry. They see Master as their greatest enemy. At the same time, I also became their greatest enemy, and everyone will want to kill me and you, my master. Also, their evolution will certainly be greatly enhanced. Master, you must deal with those sector beasts as soon as possible. If we delay for too long, I'm afraid we might allow the births of too many fifth-stage sector beasts. The biggest enemy. Luo Feng was terrified. Yes, said Morosa. Master, you should know that every sector beast is very proud of themselves, as all of them think sector beasts are the noblest creatures in universe ocean. However, I am working for you now. Being furious or intimidated by your power, they will treat you as their ultimate enemy, and they might even join forces to fight you. They are already evolving at peak speed now. Master, you can't waste any time. How much time do I have? Luo Feng asked, frowning. Originally, it will take at least several trillion eras for the ultimate king to be born, said Morosa. As for now, it might only take around several 100,000 eras. Besides, Master, you should act as soon as possible, because the sector beast standing at the peak grows the fastest. Betty is now at level 4, and if it keeps swallowing, it can totally reach level 5 in 10 eras. And in the next 100 eras, it is likely to reach level 6. And when it reaches level 6, it'll kill all the other sector beasts as soon as possible. Which is why, Master, you'd better act soon. Ideally, in the next era. The sooner, the better. Luo Feng was pondering what Morosa had just said. Okay. In World of Jin, far away the godly-powered avatar of Luo Feng was still in the military camp of the East Army. Has it begun? Whispered the godly-powered avatar. The 5 laws of sector beasts. It's indeed a catastrophe. He then triggered the ring of military points on his wrist. The space around him changed, and it became a vast world of military arms. A golden being arrived and said respectfully, Mr. Milky Way. The godly-powered avatar nodded. Give me a list of all the true god-level valuables. Although there had been more than 1 trillion eras, Luo Feng hadn't made a large amount of exchanges yet. There were many different valuables within the human race, but those only cost Luo Feng a small part of his military credits. He had obtained a large number of military points from Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu. However, he hadn't exchanged them for valuables yet, as he wanted to prepare for the sector beast crisis and obtain valuables that were actually helpful for the situation. Now, he had obtained lots of information from Morosa, so he could convert the military credits into valuables useful for dealing with sector beasts. Besides, he could always resort to the godly king of Jin in Wuqi Tower, and it wouldn't be difficult for him to get a valuable. In Milky Way Holy Land in the original universe, the space cracked as if the apocalypse was coming. A space and time portal was formed. Luo Feng, dressed in a white cape, stood there, manipulating everything. Freeze. A giant, but dark door was floating there. It was the entrance of the universe portal, which led to the miniature universe of Luo Feng. Luo Feng gave an order. Guard the portals. Don't let anyone damage it. Yes, answered the 3 true gods and over 100 universe masters. Luo Feng nodded, feeling relieved. In the time since he had enslaved Morosa, he had built 3 universe portals after returning to the original universe, and they were all portals leading to his miniature universe. To the great beings from the human race, they all thought that Luo Feng had the biggest chance of transcending incarnations. Luo Feng's miniature universe was indeed enormous, 1,000 times larger than those of great beings at the same level. Which meant it was able to accommodate far more great beings. When this universe era was over, many humans would move to the miniature universe of Luo Feng, so 3 portals were far from enough. You guys are responsible for everything in Milky Way Holy Land now, said Luo Feng. You can decide on the common issues, and if something important comes up, report it to Primal Chaos City Leader. From now on, I won't see anyone until I come out. Yes, the great beings answered. Luo Feng turned around, took a step, and disappeared from the space. He had already entered Star Tower, where he began the most crucial training. Inside Star Tower, Luo Feng sat with his legs crossed, contemplating. I need to get to the hive of the sector beasts as soon as possible, he thought. I'd better leave in one era, and in this era, I must finish Undying River. This crisis concerned billions of races in Universe Ocean. Luo Feng didn't care about the other races, but he held the human race and the Earthlings dear. To protect his teachers and family, Luo Feng was willing to die, if that was what it took. If I can finish Undying River, I can revive myself even if I get killed. I can't lose this fight. I have to finish Undying River. Luo Feng closed his eyes and started to practice one of the 3 secret techniques of Duandong River, Undying River. Before completing Undying River, Luo Feng wouldn't dare to journey to the horrendous hive of sector beasts. After all, there were over 10 million sector beasts in the hive. If they teamed up and attacked him, he would be easily annihilated. When the quantity was large enough, it could make up for the quality. Time passed. 1 year after another went by. Beside the black-striped stone pillar, time was passing 10 million times faster than outside, and Luo Feng kept exploiting his potential. He kept perfecting his comprehension and techniques, studying the Divine Eye Secret Technique and Lai Yuan Technique. Although he wasn't strong enough to practice Lai Yuan Technique, he needed to comprehend it, and then, when his willpower reached the holy level, he would be able to finish practicing it in one shot. Wu Qi God, Shawu Wing, and Star Tower. These were 3 of his most important valuables, so he needed to pay more attention to them. Inside Luo Feng's miniature universe. Inside the chaos air, Luo Feng, clothed in a white cape, was walking among the air. He quickly entered the origin of the universe. Luo Feng looked at the 100,000 stars floating in the space of origin, and the whirlpool space at the center of the 100,000 stars. He smiled and waved his hands, and a drop of golden blood appeared. There was golden light gleaming on the blood, and there seemed to be a screen of light covering it. Engravings flowed on the screen. This drop of blood contains my complete life imprint, muttered Luo Feng. If I die, this drop of blood will be able to absorb energy, and I can be revived. I can only make 1 drop of Undying River blood in over 1,000 years. Luo Feng looked at that drop of blood, which flew into the whirlpool space. It kept spinning relentlessly in the whirlpool like all those 100,000 stars. 1 drop is enough. Even if I die, I can still be revived with this drop. When I am resurrected, I'll just make another drop of blood. Luo Feng turned around and left the space of origin. 1,890 years after Luo Feng enslaved the sector beast, 2 beings stood in the space outside Milky Way Holy Land. Are you going to go to the hive of the sector beasts alone without telling anyone? Primal Chaos City Leader was surprised. No need to tell anyone else. Luo Feng shook his head. If I succeed, then let's tell others. But if I fail, we had better not tell anyone. Don't you need to say goodbye to your family? Primal Chaos City Leader asked, hesitating. No need. Luo Feng shook his head. I am just here to tell you, teacher, that I'll be alive whether I succeed or not. There's no need to worry my wife and family members. Only you should know about it, teacher. Primal Chaos City Leader nodded. Luo Feng then stopped talking, then took a step and disappeared. Primal Chaos City Leader stood in space, silent for a while. Then he whispered, please, come back alive. Even though Luo Feng had said with certainty that he would come back alive, Primal Chaos City Leader was still worried sick. It was the hive of sector beasts, after all. On that day, Luo Feng left for the hive of the sector beasts. Other than Primal Chaos City Leader, none of the great beings in Universe Ocean knew about it. In the vast Universe Ocean, Star Tower was progressing forward, teleporting. The destination was the 4th land of extremists, the world of Jinn. He had chosen to go in the 1890th year, because the world of Jinn would be opened again at this time, meaning he could enter again. He had decided to go to the world of Jinn and convert his military credits into lots of valuables first. Morosa. Luo Feng looked at Morosa at his side. Morosa was all he had now. Master, said Morosa. You're going to the world of Jinn now. I can travel there with you. However, when you go to the land of darkness, I can no longer enter. All the sector beasts would be able to sense my presence. If I go there, it means I leak your presence to all the sector beasts. I need to stay in Universe Ocean, so I can sense the traces of the sector beasts. Then I can notify you at any time. Luo Feng nodded. After he brought back the valuables from the world of Jinn, he would put the sector beast in his miniature universe. No matter how far he was from the miniature universe, he could know exactly what happened there. If Morosa spoke in the miniature universe, he would know, even if he was in Land of Darkness. Wait, asked Luo Feng. Morosa, I'm going to the Land of Darkness now. If you're not going with me, you can go to Purple Moon Holy Land. I'll arrange for one of my godly-powered avatars to position Boat of Mausoleum outside Purple Moon Holy Land. No one in Purple Moon Holy Land can do anything about Boat of Mausoleum. In your Boat of Mausoleum, just start swallowing that Purple Moon Holy Land. As you swallow Purple Moon Holy Land, you can also sense what is going on in the hive of sector beasts, and you can also tell my godly-powered avatar. When my godly-powered avatar knows, I'll know about it as well. Okay. Morosa was eager, as it craved delicious food. Luo Feng's eyes glinted ferociously. Purple Moon Holy Land was of no use when it came to dealing with sector beasts. Now that it was useless, and since Purple Moon Holy Land was already his mortal enemy, he would just get rid of it. However, it'll take me a long time to swallow the origin of Purple Moon Holy Land, said Morosa. Purple Moon Holy Land is more powerful than the miniature universes of normal true gods, and it has strong resistance. I can only swallow it 1/100th as fast as miniature universes of true gods, and it's enormous. It might take me a long time to completely swallow it, perhaps 100,000 years. So long. Luo Feng frowned, thinking carefully. True enough, Purple Moon Ancestor was a true god of void space whose miniature universe must have been bigger than his. Morosa was currently only a second-stage sector beast. Its speed of devouring was much slower than before. Indeed, it would require around 100,000 years. Master, do you want me to devour the origin of his miniature universe? Morosa asked, primed for action. Luo Feng shook his head. Forget it, for the time being, we will just let him have a good life for a little while longer. Previously, when I was at the sector beast's nest, there were enemies everywhere. There was no way I could stay for long. After spending a short period of 1 year there, I had to leave there and return. If I could stay for as long as 100 years, that would have been beyond expectations. Morosa, you shall remain within my miniature universe and be on standby at all times. Wait for me to give orders. Although he really wanted to destroy Purple Moon Holy Land, the sector beast crisis was his top priority. Understood. Morosa was most reluctant to let things be, but still, he had to respect and obey Luo Feng's orders. From inside Star Tower, Luo Feng looked toward the void space in the outside world. He was looking in the direction of Purple Moon Holy Land as he silently said to himself, for now, time is of the essence. I don't have time to haggle with you. When I am done with the more important matters, it will still not be too late to eliminate you. As for failure, Luo Feng could not be bothered to think about it too much. If he truly failed and his miniature universe devoured, everything would be destroyed. By then, Purple Moon Holy Land would be the least of his concerns. Besides, if there was a great extermination, Purple Moon Holy Land would definitely be wiped out. After all, the sector beasts would not take Purple Moon Holy Land in even if Purple Moon Holy Land had decided to seek refuge with them. Purple Moon Holy Land did not have any opponents that appeared to be a threat whatsoever, and such a big Holy Land universe was definitely going to a delectable feast. Why would the sector beasts give up such good food? Star Tower executed a super long-distance teleportation, and continued to advance toward the world of Jinn. After no longer than half a day, Luo Feng, who was on board Star Tower, entered the godly body of that massive life form that seemed to be His Majesty the Godly King. He arrived outside the miniature universe of the world of Jin and waited in silence. He was awaiting the moment when the membrane walls would start to turn white. Time passed. Another half a month had gone by. It's changed. Luo Feng looked into the distance. The membrane walls of the miniature universe within the void space had completely changed to white. What was different from before was that, after a trillion eras, the number of great beings entering the world of Jin dwindled to only a few, because all those great beings who could obtain treasures had, for the most part, gotten what they needed. Those who were not so powerful had either retreated or been annihilated. The number had grown fewer, and after so many eras, a great being might only be seen entering the world of Jin once in a blue moon. And these were mostly newly emerged universe masters from the primal universe, who had come in search of adventure. This time around, other than Luo Feng, there was no one else. Star Tower flew over rapidly. Right away, it penetrated the membrane wall to enter the world of Jin. Surrounded by a vast blanket of clouds, Star Tower charged through the mist to make a hasty descent. Not far away, there was a ship parked amidst the clouds. Keep. The white-robed form of Luo Feng appeared. Star Tower fell into his palm, and then Luo Feng headed straight for the ship. The cabin doors automatically opened to welcome him in. This ship was maneuvered by the godly-powered avatar he had left behind in the world of Jin all this time. Naturally, it had brought along a great number of treasures with it. Inside the cabin room, the godly-powered avatar sat cross-legged in a corner. The supposedly empty floor next to it was occupied by a great number of treasures. Most of them were automaton-type treasures. There were also some other supplementary treasures. The moment Luo Feng arrived, with a wave, he stored all these treasures right away. With these treasures, in when my battle with the sector beasts, success is within my grasp. Luo Feng revealed a slight smile. At the same time, he was struck by a thought. Beside him, the ring of the military point on his godly-powered avatar's wrist was activated right away. Instantly, his surroundings transformed into the world of military arms. It was vital to note that so long as one was within the world of Jin and used the ring of the military point, entry into the world of military arms was immediate. This was the advantage of the ring of the military point. However, ordinary warriors did not qualify for the ownership of this ring of the military point. There was a change within the surrounding space. Then a golden figure descended from high up in the sky. Lord Milky Way, the golden figure greeted with deference. Luo Feng nodded. Please help me to evaluate what level this treasure belongs to. A ray of light was detached from Luo Feng's body where it was directly suspended afloat. It had 5 pairs of wings that were all widely spread, exuding a limitless, oppressive force. This was one of Luo Feng's important treasures, Shawu wings. This was one of Luo Feng's first treasures. He had obtained it a long time ago. Combined with various other components, the strength of power it could demonstrate far surpassed all the treasures he had obtained in the world of Jin. However, in all this time, Star Tower and Shawu wings had never been evaluated while in the world of Jin. This time around, since Luo Feng was here to take away such a large number of treasures, he decided he might as well have them evaluated. Of course, Luo Feng personally felt that Star Tower and Shawu wings would absolutely surpass Wu Qi God. Understood, the golden figure replied respectfully. Both eyes of the golden figure shot golden rays that shrouded Shawu wings. Streams of rays brushed across every possible spot. The golden figure became a wondrous display with its entire body lit by rays. Countless light rays shot out of it and shrouded every inch around Shawu wings as they probed and explored most thoroughly. Within Godly King Valley, in the faraway world of Jin, at the top level of Wu Qi Tower. At that moment, the virtual consciousness of the Godly King of Jin suddenly turned its head, and deep in thought, it looked far into the distant void space in a particular direction. That direction was where Luo Feng was evaluating his treasures. Milky Way. The Godly King of Jin was shocked. Other than the treasures from the Jin dynasty, I did not expect this Milky Way to also possess treasures from the Wu dynasty. It seems he must have experienced some extraordinary encounters. But, godly king of Jin smiled. It is better if he is stronger and has a more complicated background. Luo Feng was filled with anticipation as he watched. Up until now, even he did not know where Shawu wings had truly come from. As for browsing through the information vault of the world of Jin, the quantity of information in that vault was massive. Luo Feng did not have the stamina to go through everything. He had mainly accepted some of the important information about the inheritance, and that had been enough for him. Lord Milky Way. The golden figure retracted all the light rays. Then, with great respect, it said, "This wing is an automaton-type treasure. It seems to be a prized possession of the destroyed the Wu nation, and it was originally called chaotic golden wings." Destroyed the Wu nation. Chaotic golden wings. Luo Feng was taken aback. His Shawu wings had actually originated from the Wu nation. The previous Duandong River had been known as Duandong River Wu. Yet now, from the sound of it, the Wu nation had been destroyed long ago. Why would his teacher, Primal Chaos City Leader, come up a name like Shawu Wings, when this was originally a wing from the Wu nation itself? It seemed his teacher had learned something that had benefited him back when he first discovered that first incomplete part of Shawu Wings. So, when his teacher had to think of a name for this wing, he had gone to the extent of including the character Wu within the name. Chaotic golden wings contains a total of 6 pairs of wings, the golden figure said most courteously. It currently consists of 5 pairs, so it is considered to be in an incomplete state. It is missing its 6th pair of wings. Before it was destroyed, the golden figure continued to elaborate in a respectful tone. The Wu nation, during its most prosperous time, was slightly stronger than my Jin nation. The Wu nation was most skilled in creating automaton-type treasures. In the battle of superpowers in that ancient civilization, the outcome mostly depended on the troops. An endless army, paired with a large number of automaton-type treasures, could execute attacks that were so powerful that even those who were regarded as holy existences preferred to steer clear to avoid these powerful attacks. Luo Feng nodded, deep in thought. He was already aware of this. The division of abilities consisted of the levels ranked accordingly: True God of Void Space, Eternal True God, the Holy, and the Godly King. The Godly King of Jin was at this level, and had been powerful enough to create a nation of his own. The 3 generations of ancestors from the pulse of Duandong River had also been at that level, standing at the highest peak of the ancient civilization. The Rhinoceros Emperor of the Rhinoceros Emperor game, likewise, had been at that level. So long as one could reach this level, then single-handedly, one would be able to establish one's own sect to become an absolute leader, and stand proud before any ancient civilization. Construction forces could give rise to an entire nation. Of all the battles of superpowers among the ancient civilization that Luo Feng knew of, the highest level of power among them all was the Godly King. Similarly, the Sha nation had been established by 3 founding monarchs. All of them had been godly kings, thus possessing an ability powerful enough to destroy the Jin nation. The warriors in the troops number in the billions, Luo Feng mumbled to himself. Relying on automaton-type treasures, even the beings on the level of the Holy Ones are most certainly going to be unstoppable unless the Godly King personally makes an appearance. However, the moment a Godly King goes to battle, it would almost be the same as a battle of nations, a battle of life and death. The golden figure continued, within the troop, the main class of treasures is the group classification, like my race's Jin Luo universe. There are also more massive, single-body type treasures. Chaotic golden wings is considered to be one of the most outstanding treasures, belonging to the ancient civilization. The most outstanding treasures belonging to the ancient civilization. Luo Feng was taken aback. Automaton-type treasures are not of much use to beings who are at the holy level, the golden figure said. For His Majesty the Godly King, they become all the more useless. As for the automaton-type treasures used by eternal true gods, these practically represented the pinnacle of all automaton-type treasures. Chaotic golden wings was an automaton-type treasure that the Wu nation had specially created for its eternal true gods. Luo Feng's eyes lit up the moment he heard this. Chaotic golden wings is composed of a total of 6 pairs of wings, and their effects are all different, continued the golden figure. With the first pair of wings, one can make use of time and space to accelerate one's speed of escape. This pair of wings can be used by a portion of geniuses from my ancient civilization. Even the undying fighters and knights are able to use it. With the second pair of wings, one can control time and space. This is a simplification of a situation whereby the orders of a true god, once given, have to be strictly enforced. This pair of wings can be used by ordinary law masters. With the third pair of wings, one can read a thought in void space. This is a simplification of the reading of thought in void space by a true god of void space. This pair of wings can be used by ordinary true gods. With the fourth pair of wings, one can establish a universe with a single thought. This is a simplification of an eternal true god's skill of establishing a miniature universe with a single thought. This pair of wings can be used by ordinary true gods of void space. The fifth pair of wings, to a certain extent, is used to control chaos. This is also how the name chaotic golden wings came about. Normally, eternal true gods would be able to use this pair of wings. Then, relying on its power, they can have part of the might of a holy existence. The sixth pair of wings are the wings of attack. This pair is invincible. Its power is very strong, and it's biased towards the gold of chaos. This set of wings has the origin as its center and can unleash a super strong combat power. Out of all the single-body, automaton-type treasures of the Wu nation, this set of wings was regarded as the greatest accomplishment. Compared to all the other treasures in the ancient civilization, it was the most outstanding, too. With its help, eternal true gods can acquire part of the power of a holy existence. Of course, its secret engravings were sorted according to level from low to high, so for those with higher powers, after being activated by the secret engravings, the power stored in the origin will be a notch more superior. The energy stored within the origin is then equivalent to a spare supply of energy. This can also allow eternal true gods to last longer in battle. Luo Feng was astonished. Now, he understood. No wonder the blade power, when released from the origin, even when due to overflowing and not erupting through the sixth pair of wings, could still be so powerful. It was all because the power was obtained after transformation carried out by an eternal true god. The third pair of wings allows one to read a thought in void space, and can be used by ordinary true gods. But I am not ordinary at all. I could use it even when I was only a universe master. Luo Feng sighed. No wonder he had taken such a long time to comprehend the third stage of Shawu wings. The way the wings were designed was such that this third pair of wings was originally meant to be activated by those at the level of a true god. So for me, as a universe master, the requirements are certainly much higher. The fourth pair of wings is able to establish a universe with a single thought. Luo Feng said, filled with excitement. I may be extremely accomplished, but I still feel that there is a shred that cannot be successfully activated to completion. This shred was like a deep chasm, it was difficult to achieve the breakthrough. Going to the sector beast's nest for a life and death fight this time around might allow him to break through. Evaluate this treasure for me, too, said Luo Feng. A small tower appeared in Luo Feng's palm. Then, soon after, a 9-story tower flew out to hang suspended in midair. This was none other than Star Tower. This video will end here.